The judge didn't just rule, he walked out. That's how unhinged this circus has become. After weeks of mounting courtroom chaos from Blake Lively, it wasn't her acting that broke the judge's patience. It was the sudden appearance of Ryan Reynolds' financial dodging and both of them being exposed as co-architects in what's now being called a coordinated smear campaign against Justin Baldoni. Blake's meltdown in court was already bordering on parody. But her latest stunt? Trying to apply California's AB 933, a state statute designed to protect actual survivors of harassment, in a New York case. Her legal team sent not one, but 2 desperate letters to the judge begging him to bend state lines for her convenience. Because apparently, when you're Blake Lively, geography is optional. The courtroom went silent. Then, according to insiders, the judge lost it. He was reportedly humiliated, stunned that someone who once pitched The Shallows as a feminist masterpiece now thinks laws are interchangeable props on a soundstage. This wasn't a technical oversight. It was a calculated move to hijack legal precedent for PR advantage, and if that wasn't enough, Blake's team dragged 3 activist organizations into the mess, carting them in like emotional scenery for an awards show. Their goal? Convince the court that applying AB 933 outside California would somehow help all future victims. In other words, Blake's private PR nightmare was suddenly being sold as a universal cause, and no one bought it. Legal analysts were quick to call it what it was: performative, manipulative, and flat-out insulting to real survivors who've been devastated by the same laws Blake is now using as armor. She wasn't defending the truth. She was dodging a $400 million defamation claim by wrapping herself in the language of victimhood, and social media lit up. This isn't Gossip Girl, Blake, one post read. This is federal court. Another quipped, even Serena Vanderwoodson had more self-awareness. But Blake's team didn't stop. In their next round of legal filings, they went full emotional hostage mode, warning that if the judge didn't side with Blake, it would damage all future victims. So now, refusing her desperate loophole isn't just a legal decision, it's oppression. Critics weren't having it. One lawyer called it legal gaslighting dressed in feminist drag. Another called it law shopping, a term used when someone combs through legal systems looking for the one law that matches their storyline, not the facts. High-profile feminist attorney Lisa Burke even joined in with an amicus brief, swinging wildly at Justin Baldoni without offering a single shred of evidence. Her claim? That Baldoni had weaponized cruelty. Her proof? There was none. Just vibes and Blake's press team. It's all part of a bigger picture that's becoming impossible to ignore. Blake Lively is not fighting for justice. She's fighting for narrative control. She doesn't speak. She doesn't explain. She files strategic briefs, rolls up to photo shoots, and lets her legal team and publicist frame her as some kind of silent icon. It's smoke and mirrors with a luxury budget. And then there's Ryan Reynolds. While Blake fumbles in court, Ryan is out here pretending he's Switzerland. Just weeks ago, his legal team filed a motion to dismiss, essentially saying, "Hey, I'm just the husband. Leave me out of it." A man with 4 kids, shared assets, and a $650 million empire with Blake suddenly wants to be legally invisible. It's classic. Sneak out the side door while the house is burning, and let your wife hold the matchbook. If Ryan is removed from the case, his entire fortune becomes untouchable. That's not paranoia. It's financial LAW. Now we've got Blake law shopping and crying wolf, Ryan cashing out and ghosting, and a judge so fed up he walked out. The only thing more staged than this courtroom disaster? Their entire public image. 2 weeks ago, Ryan Reynolds tried to vanish from the courtroom like a puff of aviation gin. His legal team filed a motion to dismiss, essentially telling the judge, "Hey, I'm just the husband here. This doesn't involve me." A charming idea, if you ignore the fact that he's been married to Blake Lively since 2012, has 4 kids with her, and shares hundreds of millions in joint assets. But sure, Ryan. Go off. Let's be clear. Ryan is pulling the oldest trick in the celebrity playbook. When the legal house starts burning, sneak out the side door and leave your spouse inside holding the matchbook. Because if he gets removed from the lawsuit, every cent of his $650 million fortune becomes legally untouchable. That's not a hot take. That's how asset protection works. If the judgment only sticks to Blake, Justin Baldoni can't touch a dime of Ryan's money. Not the gin money. Not the mobile money. Not even the residuals from Deadpool. Ryan reportedly made $152 million from selling aviation gin in 2020, then scored another $330 million when he sold Mint Mobile to T-Mobile. Add $50+ million from the Deadpool trilogy, and you're looking at a man who's sitting on at least $650 million, and that's just the stuff we know about. Meanwhile, Blake is sitting at a modest $50 million, which means this motion to dismiss. It wasn't just a smart move. It was cold, calculated, and if we're being honest, kind of genius in the most toxic way possible. Ryan's doing what Blake can't. He's winning strategically. And he gets to keep his funny, likable image while she's left standing in court like a L'Oreal ad with no alibi. He's playing chess while she's hurling mascara at the judge. This is what support looks like when the cameras stop rolling. He's pretending to be a neutral party while the two of them are clearly strategizing their next PR move over oat milk lattes. Blake's facing a $400 million legal grenade, and Ryan's trying to deactivate it by ghosting his own marriage. On paper, at least, because why go down with the ship when you can float away on a yacht made of gin, mobile phones, and Marvel cash? And just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse for Blake, Judge Lehman walked out. Literally removed himself from the case. You know it's bad when even the judge is like, I'm done. And honestly, we're not even halfway through the circus, and Blake has already managed to drag down a feminist legal statute, the media's credibility, and half of Hollywood along with her. The most delusional part? She still thinks she's starring in some girl boss redemption arc. But this isn't a feminist victory. It's a front row seat to the hypocrisy Olympics, and she's winning gold in every event. Let's talk about AB 933, a California law created to protect real survivors of sexual harassment and abuse. People who risked everything to come forward and needed legal protection from powerful figures. That law was meant to be a shield for the voiceless. Blake? She's using it like a designer clutch. She's taken a survivor statute and twisted it into a legal fig leaf for her own mess. Real victims are furious. Legal experts too. Because when a rich, blonde, red carpet regular hijacks a law meant for survivors, she doesn't just bend the rules. She mocks the entire system. And where were the advocacy organizations during all the actual cases of workplace misconduct over the years? Silent. But the second Blake Lively, the woman who built a career off pastel rom-coms and beige thrillers, needs backup. Here comes the cavalry. Letters. Legal briefs. Carefully worded statements. Apparently, survivor support now includes a glam squad and a publicist. Then came Elsie Dorsey. A real survivor. A lawyer. Someone who lived through the kind of defamation countersuit Blake is now whining about. Elsie wrote a brief and didn't mince words. She went bankrupt defending her truth, while Blake is doing press junkets and sipping gin like she's auditioning for the Real Housewives of litigation. Elsie's point was simple. If you turn AB 933 into a celebrity shield, you destroy it for everyone else. And what was Blake's original accusation again? That Justin Baldoni smelled her hair. That's not a joke. That's the claim. No witnesses. No paper trail. No timeline. Just a vague assertion that he leaned in too close and made her uncomfortable. That's it. We've gone from landmark #MeToo trials to courtroom filings that read like dry shampoo ads. Her entire case has less structure than a travel-sized bottle of leave-in conditioner. Now her team is spinning Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit as retaliatory. Retaliation only works as a defense if you didn't throw the first punch. But Blake started this. She painted the man as a predator, dragged his name through the media. And now that he's suing back, suddenly she's oppressed. No, ma'am. That's not how logic or justice works. Critics have said it best. Blake's brand of activism is post a Vogue cover, then file a motion. She doesn't give interviews. She doesn't speak up. She lets her legal team and her stylists do the talking, then poses like she's rewriting feminist history one soft filter at a time. The only thing she's rewriting is how fast a PR-fueled image can collapse when reality finally slaps it in the face. And speaking of PR, the machine around her is running on fumes. The New York Times, the supposed gold standard of journalism, suddenly silent. No mention of Taylor Swift's subpoena. No updates on the lawsuit. Not a single editorial. It's like journalism ends the second Blake's publicist picks up the phone. Every time something damning drops, the media looks away like they've just spotted their ex in a Whole Foods aisle. This isn't just about Blake Lively or Ryan Reynolds anymore. It's about how celebrity, wealth, and influence warp the justice system, the media, and even our cultural understanding of what it means to be a victim. She's not just using her fame to avoid accountability, she's weaponizing it. And the system is letting her. But here's the twist they didn't see coming. The audience? We're awake. We see the contradictions. We're watching the house of cards tremble with every desperate PR move, every awkward red carpet smile, every silent editor at a once-trusted outlet. The fantasy's over. This isn't a redemption arc. It's a broadcast in slow motion of a brand unraveling, and there's no glam squad in the world that can edit the truth. The industry's golden girl is still being hyped like she just reinvented cinema, but only when it's convenient. Case in point, the relentless PR blitz around it ends with us. You'd think Blake Lively had cured cancer, not headlined a romance adaptation. The media's drooling over her performance, while completely ignoring the legal firestorm brewing just off camera. Enter Paul Feig, director of A Simple Favor and unofficial court jester of the situation. During a press tour for his gin brand, the man actually joked about being subpoenaed. While survivors are trying to be heard and lawyers are knee-deep in motions, this grown adult thought court orders were comedy material. Classy. Blake's defenders? Oh, they're doing just fine, strutting red carpets, grinning for cameras like the world isn't burning around them. Meanwhile, real victims are being ignored, dismissed, and shoved under a pile of headlines that never got written. It's a two-tier system. Blake gets glam squads, glowing profiles, and loyal Twitter stans. Actual survivors get ghosted by the media and gaslit by the industry. One YouTuber nailed it. If Blake Lively didn't have publicists, she'd have to face the truth, and she wouldn't survive 2 tweets. And honestly, facts, but the rabbit hole runs deeper. Let's talk about the carefully curated circle behind her, the same insiders profiting from her meltdown. Paul Feig isn't just directing, he's casting. And surprise, surprise, Brendan and Mule, 2 actors who just so happened to publicly back Blake, landed roles in his upcoming project Housemates. The loyalty to paycheck pipeline is working overtime. Even Ryan's circle is cashing in. Miguel, one of his longtime collaborators, called Ryan his best friend in an interview, right in the middle of the legal circus. Instead of addressing the scandal, he was cracking jokes about pineapple on pizza, like he was doing press for a sitcom. That's the tone. The lawsuits are flying, and these guys are busy debating toppings. And then there's Sean Levy, Ryan's go-to director, his cinematic wingman. He's the man behind Free Guy, The Adam Project, and now Deadpool 3. But here's where it gets shady. Guess who Blake thanked in the end credits of It Ends With Us? That's right, Sean Levy. Why is that a problem? Because Levy wasn't officially involved with the project. Insiders claim he secretly helped Blake with a final edit, behind director Justin Baldoni's back. If true, that's a direct violation of Directors Guild rules. You can't moonlight as an invisible editor while pretending you're just there for moral support and popcorn. Remember, Sean is also knee-deep in Deadpool vs. Wolverine with Ryan Reynolds. So if Blake dragged him into her passion project as a fixer, it's not just messy, it's a conflict of interest. But in Blake's world, that's business as usual. While all this is going on, Blake's out here playing grateful starlet, surrounding herself with loyalists and dropping thank you names like she's hosting an awards show. But her legal defense? It's crumbling. There's no backbone, no evidence, no consistency, just PR smoke and carefully timed favors. This isn't legal strategy. It's a celebrity protection program. Blake built a throne out of connections, sound bites, and Instagram polish. But that throne is sinking, and fast. She's calling in every favor, name-dropping every director she's ever brunched with, and hoping the sparkle hides the rot. But the glitter's wearing off. Let's not forget Ryan Reynolds' own mess. He's already had a messy fallout with Deadpool director Tim Miller, who openly said he'd never work with Ryan again due to how controlling he was. Word is, Ryan finally found his match in Sean Levy, but even that relationship is showing cracks. The control, the spin, the manipulation, it's exhausting, and it's no longer working. The mask is slipping. The press may still be treading lightly, and their teams might be posing like nothing's wrong. But the public? We're wide awake now. We see the cracks. We hear the silence. And we're not buying the show anymore. Just when you thought Blake and Ryan's reputational freefall couldn't go any lower, Vogue delivered the social equivalent of a knockout punch. Their annual top 20 power couples list dropped, and guess who didn't make the cut? Yep. Mr. Deadpool and Mrs. Please Validate Me didn't even earn a mention. It's bad when Meghan and Harry, a couple who blew up a monarchy and turned Netflix into a glorified therapy session, outrank you in cultural relevance. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce? On the list. Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco? In there. Even Leighton Meester and Adam Brody, who most people assumed had been legally retired from Hollywood since 2016, somehow made the cut. But Blake and Ryan? Not even a footnote. Vogue didn't just skip them. They erased them. The message was clear. You're over. And it hit like a slap to the Botox. Then came the Met Gala, the fashion Super Bowl, the ultimate barometer of Hollywood relevance. Blake, once its reigning queen, the woman who turned staircases into runways, was nowhere in sight. Not even a whisper of an invitation. No statement. No explanation. Just gone. The silence wasn't passive. It was surgical, because when Hollywood decides it's done with you, it doesn't scream, it deletes. The queen of the carpet was nowhere to be seen. And no, it wasn't a sabbatical. Insiders say she wasn't even invited. Let that sink in. Blake Lively, the woman who used to turn the Met Gala into her own royal procession, didn't even get the courtesy of a maybe. But here's the brutal part. No one noticed. No headlines mourned her absence. No desperate PR push. Just silence. The kind that doesn't whisper, it roars. We've moved on. According to PR insiders, brands are cutting ties like it's an emergency recall. The glossy, choreographed image of Hollywood's golden couple is crumbling, revealing what it always was, a high-budget marketing illusion. And now that illusion is unraveling, no one wants to be part of the fallout. Because let's be real, you can't keep playing America's sweethearts when your lawyers are busier than your agents. It's giving washed. It's giving overexposed and underwhelming. It's giving PR disaster. Sure, Ryan Reynolds may have outmaneuvered the legal wreckage and locked up his $400 million fortune with some clever loopholes. But money can't buy a clean reputation. What he couldn't salvage was their image. That, dear reader, is scorched earth. Blake's in court filing motions and playing the wronged woman, while Ryan's sipping gin and replaying every smug interview wondering where it all went sideways. Here's a hint. It went sideways the moment they both mistook smugness for personality. Let's talk about the psychology of it all. Blake and Ryan aren't just narcissists, they're covert narcissists. That's the type that charms in public, controls in private, and never, ever takes accountability. They're not flipping tables or going viral for screaming matches.
No.
They're more polished, more insidious. They gaslight. They micromanage. They curate every narrative down to the lighting on their apology posts. And like all good narcissists, they surround themselves with flying monkeys, a term in psychology for enablers who carry out their dirty work, not out of loyalty but fear. Think about it. Hollywood directors, actors, influencers, all clapping like trained seals at every contrived appearance. Every recycled soundbite. Every exhausting attempt at relatability. One insider said it best. They're emotionally bulletproof, not because they're strong, but because they live in a fantasy world where they're always the victim, always the hero, never the problem. And when reality knocks, they don't answer. They post a filtered family photo and hope the subpoena gets lost in the algorithm. Apologize? Reflect? Grow?
Please.
Blake doesn't apologize. She broadcasts curated vulnerability with just the right amount of designer sadness.
Ryan?
He hides behind dad jokes and witty one-liners about gin while his legal team plays defense like it's the Super Bowl. It's not authenticity. It's strategy. It's manipulation in couture. But now, the unraveling is in full swing. The courtroom isn't falling for Blake's faux feminist monologues. The judge isn't swooning over her teary, "I just want justice" routine. Because justice doesn't wear Gucci. Justice demands evidence, not vibes. Ryan might have locked down his finances, but his brand is burning. The jokes don't land anymore. The sparkle is gone. Turns out, you can't meme your way out of actual consequences. And Blake? She's managed to crown herself the face of performative victimhood. No clear testimony. No consistent story. Just vague platitudes and a suspiciously timed media blitz. Her version of advocacy is all aesthetic, no substance. She says she's speaking up for victims, but won't even speak with clarity. It's silence when accountability is needed. And noise when there's a promo code attached, because at the end of the day, this empire wasn't built on truth. It wasn't built on resilience or authenticity. It was built on styling, selective silence, and immaculate Instagram feeds. Now it's collapsing. Loudly.
Publicly.
And every attempt to regain control just exposes more cracks. So keep watching. The masks are slipping. The perfect couple? They're now a textbook cautionary tale. The press is circling. The courtroom is heating up. And the carefully controlled narrative they've clung to for years? It's crumbling fast. This is just the beginning.
Subscribe now.
The scandals aren't slowing down anytime soon.